The nature of the war against terror, which is quite different than the conventional warfare that people have known and researched over the years. It's a new kind of warfare. It's a much more complex warfare. You deal with elusive insurgents or terrorists that are hiding among civilian population. You cannot expect to get any kind of decisive victories as you would expect in regular wars. You have to deal with masses and masses of data. Lots of the data is nothing but noise. It gives you false signals. You have to isolate, to filter out the noise. You have to look for very specific methods that will allow you to differentiate between innocent people and terrorists. So there are new challenges here that really require a new way of thinking, and the necessity for interdisciplinary research is essential.
This program addresses three separate and distinct goals that are mutually reinforcing. One, it focuses on defenses against terrorism, and that, I think, clearly is one of the prime challenges our society faces. Defenses, real hands-on, day-to-day, on-the-ground defenses against terrorism. Goal number one. Goal number two, it is positive support for two institutions with which I personally and my family have been closely identified with, and for which I have both great affection and respect. That's both Technion and Yale. Thirdly, this program is this joint activity between Technion and Yale represents, I think, an effective American response to the proposed British boycott, academic boycott of all Israeli academics, which was heartbreaking, which fell to the ground only on a technicality. I just thought it was heartbreaking that the rest of the British academic world wasn't outraged at that proposal. But this is an American response. It says loudly and clearly, not only is the American academic world not turning its back on Israeli academics, but they're reaching out to them and happy to collaborate. The specifics will focus on resource allocation. What do you have to spend and how do you divide the pie? Secondly, decision making. What are the factors and the information and the input that leads to making the proper decisions, crucially important decisions? A third specific will be determining the trade-offs between human intelligence and gadgetry. You know, the human versus technology. Both are involved. What is the proper function of each? How do you relate each, and so forth? And the fourth thing is data analysis techniques. Lots of information is coming in. The difference between information and knowledge is that information is discrete, knowledge is usable. The goal are exchanges in every way, in every aspect of how to deal with the mechanics of terrorism and how to react properly. And this program is going to focus on research by faculty, research by doctoral students and postdoctoral students and full professors and so forth. Then secondly, there should be conferences at which you bring together all interested parties so they can psych each other up, inform each other, exchange information and so forth. And there should be seminars on specific aspects. So maybe research comes first, and then you have seminars pursuing in depth the individual questions. And then finally, there should be conferences at which you disseminate this, And this should be something ideally of interest not only to Israel and not only to the United States. You're dealing with a worldwide phenomenon.
The one thing that we have in common here is that we are all operations researchers. We've had different different experiences within operations research. I think what I probably bring to the table is a focus on the evaluation of alternative programs. This is something which I've worked on for many years in health and medicine and other areas of public policy. That perspective lends itself quite naturally to the fight against terrorism. For example, it's one thing to try and describe how a system of counterterrorism works, what all the different strategies and tactics are. It's another question to actually evaluate on the basis of years of experience and data and try to say, you know, which elements in the strategy are more successful, which elements in the strategy are less successful. Is there a way to improve what's going on? Boaz, on the other hand, has much more experience than I have in sort of on-the-ground operations in a number of systems, not only in Homeland Security, in manufacturing, for example, in other areas of operations management, supply chain management, transportation. But what we do share is we share a common focus on decision making. We share a common focus on the use of mathematical models to help make those decisions. So the approaches that we have are really quite complementary. Probably the best thing is that if one of us writes something down on a piece of paper or puts something up on the blackboard, the other one can understand what the first person is saying and vice versa. And again, that's just not always the case in interdisciplinary research. So even though we have very different backgrounds in terms of the problems we've worked on, the methods that we use, the logic that we have is actually quite complementary.